why I'm doing that.
You that face, you kind of looked like a dinosaur.
Oh.
Yeah, like a like those. Well, Jurassic World is coming out. Yeah, you kind of look like a raptor. I don't like them.
Enough.
Okay.
We're here for a book review.
A book review.
An excellent book review.
Al Deafo.
Wonderful, wonderful book.
Deets.
Al Deafo was written by Cece Bell, published by Amulet Books in 2014. So this one has been around for a few years.
Yep.
It is a graphic novel. It is, I would say, upper elementary to middle grades, but it certainly has broader.
Show them what a graphic novel looks like in case they haven't seen one.
For those of you who don't know, a graphic novel is in a family that it does extend to comic book.
My friends in the comic world believe there should be no distinction between comics and graphic novels, that they're all comics. However, the distinction kind of, and why some people like me still say graphic novels, despite what my comic buddies say, is that comics, the old kind of comics, are short. They're usually about 32 pages and they're serials. So they end on a cliffhanger and they're a series and then you buy the next one. Graphic novels tend to be much longer, hundreds, 200, 300 pages, and they often, almost always, not always, but often stand on their own.
I admit, I agree. It's a book. Point. Boom. It's a book.
Yeah.
But we have these generational shifts. We have people who still make those differentiations that Annie said, where they think a comic is just pick it up at 7-Eleven kind of thing.
Right.
And they think it's all superheroes.
Right.
Or and it kind of they diminish how powerful this visual book is. And it's very powerful, and it reaches people in a very different way than just a regular novel. And it's I really think these just need to be called books.
Do you want to explain how they reach people differently?
Well, for one thing, people intake their stories in very different ways. There's the oral tradition, where you're telling stories with your voice, very powerful, very ancient form of storytelling that is definitely not used as much as it should be today, not valued as much as it should be today. There are regular books and novels that are, you're reading the language, you're reading the written word.
Broca's
and
part of your brain.
And again, there's the, like Braille books and other books that are delivered in different ways that kind of are resonant of the books written longhand in words on a page. And then there are pictorial representations of stories that are told visually, and these are anywhere from wordless young children's books where it's all pictures to stories that combine the written word and the visual word, and these are comics and graphic novels where the story is told on a visual as well as written plain. It's
called visual literacy, and it uses, this is why it's doing this, it uses both sides of your brain. And for millennials on down who have had logged more screen time than we probably will in our whole life already, they are very visually oriented. And by having to use both sides of your brain at the same time, which graphic novels and comics require, your comprehension often is deeper.
Absolutely. And I would like to add that, language is alive. Stories are alive, and they're ever changing. So, as much as the oral tradition, people sitting down exchanging stories isn't happening, we do have audiobooks and podcasts and a lot of versions of the oral tradition that are starting to be more popular and recognized as powerful. Likewise, visual literacy is, absolutely, comics and graphic novels are taking off and giving, really valuing the visual literacy because our brains need the full experience.
And FYI, did you know this? Before we have a thought, it's an image.
That's right.
It happens so fast that we don't see the image, but I think, again, this, in a way, follows our brain's natural process.
So needless to say, we really value comics and graphic novels.
And I have to say this, we want them to be used in the classroom.
Must be.
Like part of the regular curriculum.
Don't go the trading one for the other.
Ooh.
They can be both valued and loved and used and make resonant lessons come out of them.
And they're for all readers, FYI.
Absolutely, yeah, and all levels.
Yes.
I'm an adult. I read graphic novels that are suitable for all levels. I enjoy them. They make me reflect upon my own childhood or my own youth. They make me smarter as I approach the next day as an adult. And they feed a lot of needs in me. And so, grown-ups, they're for everybody. Stop it.
And I write them.
She does write them. Yeah.
So I really love them.
She loves them in a special way.
I do.
Yes. This one, El Deafo, was recommended to us by
Pam Simon. Yay!
Pam Simon.
Yay,
Yay!
Pammy! Yay! Woo.
Want to tell us what it's about? Or should I do that?
No, I'll talk a little bit about it.
Do talk.
So, first of all, I want to say that Pam, in case you haven't seen our interview with her, used to work with deaf children and deaf students and was fluent in American Sign Language. She did not actually know about this book. She and I have been friends for a long time, so we discussed this book, and she ran out and bought it and fell in love and asked if we would review it. So that's how that happened. What El Deafo is about to me, because I think it can differ, is this is actually it's pretty autobiographical,
It is,
right?
yeah.
It's an autobiography of Cece. Cece was born hearing, and then, was it scarlet fever?
Meningitis, I believe.
Thank you. Took her hearing away at 4. I bring this up because Pam also noted it can be a little different in terms of your experience if you could hear it all or you're born deaf, period. That being said, Cece has to wear this ginormous, is it on the cover?
Yeah, it's on her.
This ginormous
machine.
You can see it, the phonic ear. And it has big earbuds in her ears. Oh, and I should mention, in case you didn't notice, Cece doesn't quite look like this. What's fun about this book is they're all bunnies or rabbits.
Bunny people.
Whee! Okay, so Cece goes to, was it deaf kindergarten? Kindergarten with
At a
only
special school.
At a special school with only non-hearing humans, and then she is mainstreamed. Was it first grade?
First grade.
Yeah. So she has to go to a mainstream school with this phonic ear thing because, she has to be able to hear her teacher who wears a microphone as a necklace. So Cece is very concerned. She actually wears it under her undershirt at first, or maybe always, actually. So this is a little bit of a misnomer where it's outside her shirt. But anyway, the whole point is, what I love about this book is that Cece learns to cope with being different by creating, by embracing her superpower and then creating an alternate identity around it. So what is her superpower? What is her superpower?
Her superpower is that by virtue of her connection to the teacher through the microphone the teacher wears, she can hear everything the teacher's doing.
Everywhere in the building.
Including when the teacher uses the restroom.
Tinkle, tinkle, tinkle.
Which, for a first, second, and third grader,
Pretty hilarious.
pretty hilarious power. Now, I would like to say this is not as much a misnomer as Annie put, because this is her superhero persona. And
Does she always wear it?
And in
over?
her superhero persona, she doesn't have to cover it up.
You know what? Christina's right. I was wrong. See? And as El
Yeah.
Deafo, she doesn't cover it
She
up.
doesn't cover it up. She
You're right.
wears it as her sign,
Proudly.
sign of her powers.
Yeah.
So, yes, this does follow her from the age of 4 to upper elementary, 4th grade, maybe?
Or 10.
Yeah,
Something
4th or
like
5th
that,
grade.
yeah.
So this takes her through a big chunk of her childhood, and it shows her ups and downs. It shows the path she's traveled in navigating the world and being part of the world, standing both side by side and within the world of the hearing people.
And I think another thing that Cece Bell, the author, see, there's Cece and Cece. I think Cece the human does really well is, understandably, when Cece first starts at school, she is very self-conscious of being different and is pretty closed off. Doesn't really trust people. I mean, no one knows about El Deafo and her superpowers. She's worried she won't make friends, as I recall. I mean, she's an other. And she's pretty freaked out about it,
And very aware of it.
Which I think we all can
we can all
understand
relate.
to some extent. And as the book progresses, she slowly opens up and makes some friends, and at the end, she actually reveals El Deafo and becomes the heroine of her class because of her
can't
special
say why.
powers. Yeah, we won't say why. We won't say why. Yeah.
One of the things I loved, and I guess we're just going to fall right into the likes and oints here, naturally and organically. I love the fact that Cece the character is complex, and she's not portrayed as a victim, and she's not portrayed as a martyr. She's portrayed as a young girl who's navigating this, and she can be very kind and generous as well as thoughtless, and kind of selfish about things, and she's imperfect. She's human, and this is very
For a
honest
rabbit.
for a rabbit person. But it's very engaging, and you understand where she's coming from, and you sympathize and you empathize, and sometimes you're saying, why'd she do that? But she's human,
And other times you're cheering, like,
Yeah.
yay, Cece!
Yeah.
Also, I like her parents. We were talking about this.
Yes.
Her parents are they're balanced in a way that a lot of parents are not. Her mom's pretty mellow, matter of fact about the phonic ear, but she's fine to put it under her shirt. She feels strongly that she should be mainstream, but she also understands, that Cece may have some, fears or challenges, and they take a very balanced, we're supportive, yet we're not going to let this stop you.
Yeah.
We're not going to let your lack of hearing stop you from being everything you can be and meeting people and having a full life. And I think that's a lot of where she starts to get her El Deafo courage from.
It's
frankly.
a very specifically focused form of choosing acceptance.
Yeah.
And parenting really, you hold the baby, and a lot of parents fall into, this is what you're going to be, and this is what I hope for you, and this is where you're going to end up. But I always viewed it as, I'm borrowing this person.
But she's a really good parent.
I'm imperfect.
Yeah, but she's really good.
I'm borrowing this little human for 18, 20, 25, whoever knows
Let's
how
hope
long.
not forever.
But you're borrowing this person, and you get to make your mistakes and have your successes and triumphs and help this person grow, and then they go. It's a borrowing situation. They're not mine. So like Cece's parents modeled, you need to accept the reality of what's happening,
Right.
and encourage in ways that don't close them off. So they chose to mainstream her, and that was a challenge. There's nothing easy about that for any of them, but they were trying to set her on a path where doors were open, and they weren't sure if they were doing the right thing. So they knew they were setting her up for a lot of challenges, and she had them. But it is, very much they were accepting. They didn't fight it. They didn't blame anybody,
Right.
which is so easy to do when parents or any caregiver is in that situation. They kind of said, okay, I'm going to take this step, and then the next step, and then the next step, and I'm make the best choices I can.
As cliche as it is, I feel like they really tried to make lemonade from lemons, or
Yeah.
a tough deal. And you're right, they didn't make it about themselves. Oh, if we'd only caught it sooner, whatever
Yeah.
parents do. And they didn't say, well, this isn't the kid I ordered, which parents do. My parents do.
Hey, Morris.
Yeah, this isn't the kid I ordered. And it's just I think it's actually, I didn't think about this before, it's a really good example for parents as well.
It is.
On
Yeah.
how to choose acceptance with your kids, period, but especially if there's things about your children that are challenging for you because you didn't expect them, or they're really different from you, who you are, or your experiences. So I think parents should read it a little bit as a parenting
An awful
guide,
lot of
too.
these books that we are recommended to review have a lot of undercurrents for parents and teachers.
Yeah.
Just a lot of little hidden lessons, and if you read it, you could see things that would resonate and help. And this is certainly one of those.
I agree.
Do you have some specific likes, or do we already?
Did we cover
I
most
think
of
we
my
might
likes?
have covered a lot of them. Yeah.
I think we covered most of my likes. Do you have extra likes?
I have one. One thing I really loved is that because this was Cece Bell's biography, she wrote it from her own inner voice, and so included in this are Cece the character's inner thoughts, and she shares them with the reader. And so you not only get the vision of us standing outside her, but you also get the vision of standing inside, and you get her voice and get her perspective. And you get, when things are hard on the outside and where her mind is going, you also get an idea of what she's comprehending when her phonic ear isn't working.
That's
or when
true.
things
Let me see if I can find a page
when
of that.
when things are, when her challenges with not being able to hear everyone come up, you get inside her head. So you're not just watching it, oh, that must be hard for her. You understand exactly what's hard.
Is this an example? Like, is that a radio or the TV?
Yeah, so when she's wearing her phonic ear and something, the battery goes low or something goes off, and she gives a lot of this spelling, like everyone around her is laughing at a radio show.
Oh, should we show it closer?
Yeah, everyone around her is listening to a radio show, and she can't hear the specific enunciation.
So it looks like that.
It sounds like, just gobbledygook stuff.
Yeah.
And she pretends to laugh along when everyone else is visually laughing, and she sees their mouths open and laugh, but she has no idea what was being said.
No.
And then, she shares her thoughts, and she shows you what she's hearing, the spelling floating above her head. It's really powerful, because it puts you inside her skin for a little while. And that's the best way to, gain that acceptance. And sometimes people need that, because they just don't believe what's being presented on the outside.
True.
Sometimes
And
you crawl
Cece
in.
isn't admitting it on the outside.
No,
she's
she's
not telling her friends, hey, can you explain to me what this is about?
Yeah.
Because I can't hear it. She doesn't want to admit that.
Which means for a young reader, you kind of have to help them navigate. You might have to help them navigate the fact that there are two voices in this story, and not to confuse the two. One is the Cece that the outside people see, and one is the train of her thoughts that are coming from inside her.
And also El Deafo.
Yeah, and then
Maybe
superhero.
there's three.
So this is
Yeah.
like a triad of things going on in this story that's a little complex, and you might have to help guide the comprehension until they kind of get it. So get a couple copies out of the library and read it alongside them.
Do like a parent-kid book club or something.
Yeah,
That'd be cool.
yeah. Get some pizza.
Yeah, or spaghetti and meat sauce.
Yeah, it's true.
And just make it a family night, maybe every
Or
week.
spaghetti
you read
and
some
marinara
chapters.
sauce.
Oh yeah, if you're a vegetarian.
That's right.
Yeah.
Come on. It's a really powerful book, and like I said, it gives you that an inside understanding, which is very rare and unique to having it in graphic novel format. Something that you can't really navigate as a long form book as easily, I don't think.
I don't know. I mean, I agree in that when you see certain expressions of Cece or her friends.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, in a book you imagine things, and if the writer is good enough, it'll give you enough to see something. But because this is an autobiography in particular, I think it's important to Cece that we see what she saw to some extent.
Having it in graphic form really adds a lot of layers and depth to it that I think would absolutely be missed if it were just a strict novel in words. So, yes.
Get it?
Bing,
Oh,
get
yeah.
it.
Get it. Library, indie bookstore, big bookstore.
Online bookstore, borrow it,
Borrow it,
get it.
but definitely get it.
Definitely get it and read it. It's a wonderful book, and for anybody.
And a great reflection of not only choosing acceptance outwardly, but self-acceptance.
Absolutely. And it covers both those beautifully. So do indeed. My friends,
Till next time,
remember,
remember, choose acceptance.
Subscribe.
Take a ride with us. Ooh.